Yo, 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 I'm Jake Masucci from Jake's Takes. I wanted to talk a little bit about my show on my guy Giovanni's own show. And I wanted to talk about a little bit about Jake's Takes. I'm a student manager at Oakland University, and I kind of just talk all things sports. I talk a lot about the NBA, talk a little college basketball. We did a lot of March Madness stuff recently. We talked about NBA playoffs, NFL playoffs, talked a lot about the NFL draft. It's basically just an all things sports show. I really think you guys would enjoy it. And shout out to my guy Giovanni. Love him. But please check out Jake's Takes. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and then it's also available on its own YouTube channel. So please check out Jake's Takes, but please continue enjoying Giovanni's show.
Before we get back to the show, let me tell you about Bart's Pizza. Bart Basilico reinvented his father's pizzeria business by putting it on wheels. I'm talking a pizza food truck, baby. Bart and his wife Lauren travel all around Metro Detroit, cooking up homemade pies made fresh to order in their 4-layered pizza oven on wheels. You can find them on their website at eatbartspizza.com and Facebook and Instagram as well at Bart's Pizza. His last name is literally Basil, so you know he knows what he's doing. Make sure to grab a cannoli as well while you're there. Bart's Pizza, it's too good.
WXOU Pizza, this is Rocco.
Hi, Rocco.
Hey, how can I help you tonight?
What are your specials?
Tonight we got a deep dish lineup of freeform radio programming.
Deep dish is my favorite. What's on it?
Your choice of toppings from talk, music, and sports shows, sprinkled with a pinch of campus news.
Sounds good. But what else can you throw in?
We hook our listeners up with concert tickets to everything from Eddie Money to Mac DeMarco.
Oh, I love music. Can we get that delivered?
We deliver 24/7 at 88.3 FM and online at WXOU.org with concert reviews and campus news features. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for our latest updates.
How long till it's ready?
WXOU. Hot, fresh, and ready whenever you are.
I gotta tell you, that's one of the weirdest promos that we have for WXOU on the station. But I'll tell you what, I think it's my favorite, even though it is the weirdest. Welcome back, everybody, to the GioMoShow, 88.3 FM WXOU. Giovanni Moscheri here, sports media director here at WXOU. And we are here to cover. We just finished a segment on women's basketball, and if you missed it, you can find it later on YouTube and Spotify on the GioMoShow's Instagram account, YouTube and Spotify accounts, so you can watch it later. But right now, we have the USPBL to talk about. The Hoppers, they get to play the Unicorns in just half an hour. 7:05 is the opening pitch. Hoppers are currently on a 3-game win streak, while the Unicorns are on a 3-game losing streak. This is a rematch of last Friday's game between the Hoppers and the Unicorns that went into sudden death. And we'll cover it here on the GioMoShow in due time. But I want to give a little bit of an overview on how the month of July, past 2 weeks, because I missed last week and I didn't quite get the chance to cover it as well as I usually like to. So as I went back to the week before, I'm like, well, why don't I just look at the month of July and see how each team has done in the 7th month of the year? Because I got curious. So, just for currency sakes, let's talk here. The standings right now, you have the Westside Woolly Mammoths have risen to the top of the USPBL. 16-12 is their record. Following them is the Utica Unicorns, who have been, sitting high and mighty on first place for quite some time, but have been knocked down to second place. 13-12 is their record. Eastside Diamond Hoppers dig their way out of last place, now 13-14, thanks to that 3-game win streak that I mentioned before. They're now just 1 game behind the Unicorns, which is always something that I'm monitoring as a Hoppers fan, and not only a Hoppers fan, the biggest Hoppers fan that you will ever meet, and I dare you to challenge that and tell me otherwise. And in last place for the USPBL is the reigning champion Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers, sitting at 12-16. They've been having quite the slippery slope of the past few games in the USPBL on what if I counted right, is a 5-game losing streak. So let's kind of get into it. Let's get into the past couple weeks of the USPBL here. And you know something? I'm going to have to be right back. My notes are in the other room. This is the most unprofessional thing that I've done on air right here. So we're going to play a quick promo, and I'm going to go grab my notes as I have some little nuggets, little stats, little markings of the season or for the month of July. And I need that paper. So we'll be right back in just a few seconds on the GioMo Show.
Okay, see you later, Angie. This was so fun. We have to do this more often. Oh, whoa, sorry.
Whoa, are you okay?
Yeah. What time is it? I was just on my way out. Where are my keys?
They're right here, but you can't drive.
Yeah, I can. I'm fine.
No, you really shouldn't.
Hey, give me my keys.
No, there are taxis outside, or call an Uber. You're gonna hurt someone.
I'm not even that drunk. This is just I am.
Not convincing.
You don't know me, lady. I'm out of here.
Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the Ad Council, and WXOU.
And we're back here on the GioMo Show, 88.3 FM, WXOU. Giovanni Moschieri here on the mic, and I finally have my notes with me. You know, like a good radio host, I should have my notes on me at all times, but that was not the case this time. So let's go over the month of July so far for the USPBL. I know there's one weekend left in July, but I was so curious to look back at it. And obviously, like next week, I'll give the final say on the month of July. I'll go through it a little bit quickly next week. But for this week so far, when you look through the schedule here, I noticed that the Beavers, they started off the month of July with a 5-game win streak. To open the month of July, their first 5 games against the Mammoths, they won in sudden death 1-1. They followed that against the Hoppers 3-0. They beat the Hoppers again 5-2. They beat the Hoppers again in sudden death 2-2. They beat the Unicorns 3-2 to give that 5-game win streak. But then you go to the second half of the month, and you got the. Pardon me. Where are the Beavers on the schedule here? So as you go down the schedule, you have a loss to the Unicorns 8-1. You have a loss to my Hoppers, 5-4. You have a 3-game losing streak against the Mammoths alone, 4-0, 0-4, 1-4, 2-9, to give you that 5-game losing streak there. And for the reigning champions, they have some of the best hitting in the league so far. Baseball is that kind of, it has that kind of volatility. Every team is on a streak right now. Nobody's off of just a single win. Everybody is has a 3+ game something streak, winning or losing. So that's just kind of been the nature of not just this league, but baseball in general. You get streaks, you get hot at certain points, and the Beavers have been hot and all the way cold so far in the month of July. And while I mentioned the Mammoths beating the Beavers 3 times in a row, that being, that three-peat was July 22nd and the 25th, they have been quite hot themselves, the Mammoths. They are currently on a 6-game winning streak, and they have not lost a game since July 14th. July 14th being their last loss against the Unicorns 9-2. But since then, let's read through it. They beat my Hoppers twice in a row, 8-7, 4-0. They beat the Unicorns again 1-0. They beat then the Beavers in the same score that I read before. So they have just been rolling, and it's been cool to see. They got that new design with the Bad to the Bone. They got the Bad to the Bone merchandise for the Mammoths at Jimmy John's Field there. And, them being the added team to the USPBL, originally started with 3, and then they added the Mammoths to the mix. Good to see that they remain competitive, even though they lost their best hitter in I forgot his name, but they had their hitter from the Dominican Republic of a name I can't remember. Went to the Minnesota Twins. He was signed by them. But they've been hot, and it's great to see. And now looking to we'll look to the Unicorns. We'll leave the Beavers, we'll leave the Hoppers last because I got some things to say about the Hoppers, some exciting games that they played recently. But looking at the Unicorns, they've been a little bit on and off. Not much of a streak. Currently, they're on a 3-game losing streak. The past 3 games, they lost to my Hoppers. They lost to the Mammoths. They lost to my Hoppers again. And their last win was against the Mammoths on the 14th. So they haven't played in as many games recently as some of the other teams have, but they are starving for a win, and for a team that's just been reigning over the USPBL for so long, I couldn't be happier. I always say the Unicorns, they won, besides last year's Beavers championship, the Unicorns have won the last 3 championships behind that. And, they've been, the dynasty of the USPBL. And something? I don't like dynasties. For some reason, my fandom does not like winners. I don't like the Patriots. I don't like the Warriors. I don't like, the Chiefs I are cool, but I like to mix things up. I like parody. I like new winners. I like underdogs a lot more than I like Davids more than Goliaths, to put it that way. So to see them on a 3-game losing streak, to see them lose first place, I couldn't be happier. And my general manager, Logan Pizzurro, is not going to enjoy me saying that, but he's not here to tell me otherwise. And as we mentioned before, the Unicorns play the Hoppers later today, 7:05, in about 23 minutes of the GioMoShow here at Jimmy John's Field on what's a hot day. It's like 85 and sunny. It's got that humidity to it. We just had that hurricane blow through. Basically, a hurricane blew through yesterday, and every storm has just been this like giant wave and goes by pretty quickly. I don't know, the weather's been weird lately. But either way, that game will continue with the hot weather. And now let's get to the Hoppers so far in the month of July and of recently. The Hoppers, they were slipping. They weren't hopping, they were slipping to start the month of July. They began with a 6-game losing streak coming out the gates of July. They lost against the Unicorns 4-3. They lost to the Beavers 3-0. They lost to the Beavers again 5-2. They lost to the Beavers again, sudden death. To the lost to the Mammoths twice in a row in a doubleheader. And sweeps in a doubleheader are not something you see very often in this league, but of course the first one has to happen against the Hoppers. But then they started to turn things around. Around July 18th. That is the game where they beat the Unicorns 5-2. And then they continued that all the way until the current day. So after that win against the Unicorns 5-2, they went on to beat the Beavers in very close fashion. I was at that game. This was July 20th. That's when the GioMoShow was supposed to air. And I kind of scrambled to do a few minutes here in the studio to do a pregame for that. I had fun that game, but not that much fun. So it was a outing with Stellantis. Me and my great employment at Stellantis. They took out some of the young professionals of Stellantis to the USPBL to watch this game. I, of course, was there. I had my jersey. I had my hat. I was into it. I ended up sneaking into the stands. I found my cousin there, and we watched the game together. Started heckling, and watching the game intently. I had a great time that game. Not only that, but if you were to look at my Instagram and my Twitter, you would know that I ran into some former Golden Grizzlies, or a former Golden Grizzly and some current, where Christian the Stash Stelling, a great relief pitcher for the Diamond Hoppers, I saw that he was warming up. I was by the pavilion by left field, and I saw that he was warming up, and I go, I'm going to take a picture with him. I'm going to go say hi to him because, I think I am comfortable enough with the baseball team. I've done enough coverage of them to where I'm not a complete stranger. So I went to go, try and take a selfie with Christian the Stash Stelling as he was warming up in the bullpen warming up in the 6th inning, went in the 7th. And I got me a great picture with him, taken by Hunter Pydek, the current pitcher for one of the Golden Grizzlies. And what is embarrassing to me, there was more Golden Grizzlies with them. They all went to see Christian because they heard that he was going to pitch that game. I didn't recognize all of them. I felt so bad. Hunter I knew because he did an interview with us on WXOU on our YouTube channel, so you could go check that out on WXOU's YouTube channel. But I recognized Hunter from that, and he was kind enough to take the picture of me and Christian. Posted that all over the place. I just had so much fun in that game, and I wanted to give the game summary to you guys in a little bit more detail. So to start the game, let me make sure I got my notes proper for this review here. So the game started, it was Beavers lead. They got a single run in the 2nd inning to lead 1-0. And then the Diamond Hoppers, they come back in the bottom of the 2nd inning with 1, 2, and 3 runs to take a 3-1 lead in the 2nd inning. I was hyped, of course. I'm going to talk trash. I'm going to talk trash to my coworkers who aren't, could care either way. But it's, me, I get hyped. So we get further into the game. The 4th inning, the Beavers, they score another run to make it 2-3. And then in the 5th inning, they're able to score again, another 2 runs. Now the Beavers have the lead in the 5th inning, 4-3. They have... I'm sorry, something just went off in the studio here. It scared me. I saw my life flash before my eyes. But anyway, game time here. 6th inning, the Hoppers were able to score a run to now make the game tied 4-4 in the 6th inning. And now, to kind of give a view of the pitching here, because pitching was a huge part of this game. That's something that I was noticing. It was obvious to everybody. And it's not just because I want to shout out Christian Stelling, but that's a little bit. But we had Chris Kelly for the Hoppers. He pitched the first 5 innings. It wasn't the greatest outing. 11 hits, 4 runs, all of them earned. Only 4 strikeouts against 23 batters. Not the best performance, so manager of the Hoppers decided that things had to change, and he threw in, we had 3 pitchers end the game. So it was Delmas Russ, who pitched in the 6th inning, allowed only 1 run and 2 walks against 4 batters. That held the Beavers to nothing, and thus kept the score tied. Now this pitching is getting them in position to win the game. Still 4-4. They then send in Christian Stelling. Stelling in his 1 inning had no hits, no runs, and 2 strikeouts out of the 3 batters that he was facing. He was lights out. And you could tell, I even saw the group of the Golden Grizzlies baseball. They said, they can't get much better than that. 2 out of 3 strikeouts is awesome to keep the score tied. Give your batters another chance to, get the lead in the game. Unfortunately, the Beavers, after the 7th inning, still didn't allow any scoring. So we're tied going into the 8th inning. Luke Drummond of the Hoppers steps up to the mound. He pitches the last 2 innings. And in those 2 innings, no runs, no hits, 5 strikeouts out of the 6 batters that he was faced with handling. And just another great pitching performance from the Hoppers. And, Russ, Stelling, and Drummond were fantastic closing out the game, and they gave the Hoppers a chance to win the game. Since Hoppers were batting last, it was bottom of the 9th, still 4-4, with a chance to win the game. And I actually, for you guys, I have the call from the USPBL broadcast that they do on their YouTube channel, and we'll play it right here.
Noah Marcoux is leading off a second. He could theoretically just stand on second, and his job's just not to get out in this situation. 0-2 to Burke. Big strikeout moment. Fly ball right field, not particularly deep. Hilbrick sizes it up, brings it in. They will tag Acevedo. The throw to the plate is bobbled, and Acevedo scores. The Diamond Hoppers win it on the Joe Burke RBI sac fly in the bottom of the ninth.
Boy, how about that? Celebrate if you're the Hoppers. You get the walk-off win. Doesn't get much more exciting than that.
That is Brady Beaton and Jake Repma on the USPBL network calling the game to close it out. And to kind of set the scene once again, there were 2 runners on base. It was the bottom of the ninth. You had Joe Burke up to bat, and a pop-up fly, or you had a runner on second and third. A pop-up fly allowed for a race to the home plate after the fly ball to right field was caught. It was a sprint for Luis Acevedo from third to home. And as the ball was coming into the Beavers catcher, the ball was bobbled. He didn't get a good catch on it to be able to tag Acevedo, and thus he was able to slide in, score, and win the game in a walk-off fashion. That was so excited to be a part of it, to be there in person. That was so much fun to watch. Great win for the Hoppers against the Beavers to, I guess, continue their losing streak and to kind of start digging themselves out of the hole that they dug themselves earlier in the month with the 6-game losing streak. And then they follow it up with the next day against the Utica Unicorns. They send this one into sudden death at 1-1. And it was Luke Drummond once again to close out the game for the Diamond Hoppers. And once again, I got the call for you right here.
Gooden's at first, Curiel's at second. It doesn't matter. Patrick Baggett, the only one you need to worry about at third. Albarrette waits. Swing and a pop-up. This should do it. Burke comes over, and the Diamond Hoppers win it. Baggett moves up to third with only 1 out, but Luke Drummond slams the door, turns out the lights, and the Diamond Hoppers have won 3 straight.
That was Brady Beaton and Dan York on the call for the USPBL network on that game. And to set the scene once again, I know, to kind of set the stage for you guys, in sudden death, for those who don't know the rules, it's a little bit like how extra innings are in MLB right now, but it's just a single half inning. You flip a coin. Whoever wins the coin toss gets to choose whether they are on offense or on defense. When you're on offense, your last batter is up to plate, and the batter before him is sent to first base. You get 3 outs to send him home and win the game. And if the defense is able to not allow that and to keep the score tied by 3 outs, the defense wins the game and the score remains tied in the record book. So it looks a little confusing, but that would be a defensive win. So in this scenario, you have 2 outs. You have bases loaded for the Hoppers. The Hoppers, they send in Luke Drummond again as they saw the great performance against the Unicorns the day prior for 2 innings. They send him in again with no rest, and he baits the pop-up for the last out to win the game against the Unicorns and to give them the 3-game win streak in a game that was just super, super exciting. I wasn't able to be there twice in a row, but to see 2 stunner games being played by my Hoppers and us coming out on top, because we've had some struggles in close games, and it was just great to see. And the Hoppers pitching, Drummond and Stelling are just great tools for my Hoppers. So today, in just a few minutes, about 10 minutes for the USPBL, you're going to have them rematch. The Unicorns and the Hoppers going to be playing at Jimmy John's Field in what is a bright, hot, and sunny day in Utica. So for those of you who got nothing to do on a Thursday night, probably would be a good game to go to. I would say so. Or not, you can catch it on YouTube as they stream the games. They stream every public game on their YouTube channel, United Shore Professional Baseball League. And just because we got 1 minute left, I want to talk about the NFL Top 100. I noticed that we have 4 lines released on it so far. The NFL has only released up to 61. But we got Jamal Williams at 95. You got Aiden Hutchinson, 88. St. Brown, 67. And Jared Goff, 66. Already, last year we didn't have any players in the top 100, but now to see 4, and if you notice, Penei Sewell is not there, so he's definitely going to be released at a later time. That's going to be 5 Lions on the top 100. And if Sewell's not on there, then that is an absolute that is a catastrophe. There's no way that Sewell is not going to be on the list. But it's super great to see. But what's not so great to see, I don't understand. Justin Fields is 86? Are you serious? He couldn't throw. Of course, he was a great runner, and thus is kind of the mystery of Justin Fields. He is such a good runner that the throwing doesn't really matter. So he was 86. I wasn't happy about it. I thought it was way too high. But either way, thus is the NFL Top 100. Who better to ask who's good than the players who play them? So whatever. As long as he was, I guess bottom, towards the bottom of the list, it's okay. Either way, that is going to wrap up the JoMo Show here. Coming up, we got DJ RBJ for the summer sessions on 88.3 FM WXOU, one of our fantastic musical radio hosts here on WXOU. That's going to be it for the JoMo Show. I'm Giovanni Moschieri, Sports Media Director at WXOU, and we'll see you next week for men's basketball, more USPBL, and some great, great action for you guys. See you next week.
So I was just editing this episode of the JoMo Show, and I'm looking at the Hoppers and Unicorns game going on right now. Unicorns are up 5-0, top of the first, going into the bottom.